Hi, my name's David Coles. I'm director of a site called uneditedSpace, which is about interviewing people from around the world to try and raise the conversation on this planet so it starts matching the truth of what's really going on in humanity. I'm author of a book called The Insanity of Humanity, and so overall my interest in life has been understanding human behaviour. And if you look at the planet, I find we've all become a bit focused on the outcomes, and I include animal cruelty, and that doesn't mean it doesn't need direct, immediate attention. But if we get lost in the outcomes, we never look at the cause. And the cause of all this is human beings. So then we've got to ask the question, well, what is it about human beings that would lead to these outcomes that we're seeing? And there's clear answers to all of that, and that's what I offer. So if anyone has any questions that would like to understand the human condition, why the world is the way it is, why do we even have an animal rights issue on this planet, there are answers to all of that. And there's a way out of the mess. And so anyone would like to explore that with me, I'm more than happy to share. Thank you.
Far beyond what we could ever handle. Actually, we are handling it. We're doing everything we can right now. This is a necessary step in the evolution of veganism and the awareness of this planet. And even though it seems like that, it's actually not like that. It's a very positive place we're in right now, and for a lot of reasons. So focus on that and just keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward.
Not quite on board with your approach, but I understand it. For me, I don't look for positives or negatives, I just look for the way it is. And for me, the starting point is to face the truth of what's happening on the planet and the truth of our species, and it's not pretty. You know, if we really want to work out what we really are, then we've got to stop telling ourselves, painting fluffy images of humanity and what we are as a species. And to me, that's not negative, so that can still be positive, right? Because the positive is facing that is the only way we can move forward. So for me, the key is you've got to sit in the truth. And if you distort it at all, it will cause you disturbance internally. So as long as you're looking at it for what it is, then the next step is not to recycle emotion. So if you find yourself as an animal activist or a vegan, finding you're getting the same level of frustration, and then you see the animal truck drive by and you're yelling every day, and if you start seeing that there's a recycling in that and that you're not growing, then that's dangerous. And you've got to catch yourself and stop it. And one of the ways to do that is to make sure you're doing something, which is where I guess the positive kicks in. And, you know, like James is a perfect example of a man that's very creative and he's always doing something or planning something. And I think that's essential. Otherwise, of course, you're going to feel overwhelmed, you know, because you're not doing anything about what you're seeing. And I don't think anybody, you got to look at the truth as something. The truth itself can't hurt anybody, right? No matter how vile that truth is. The damage comes in your resistance to the truth. So you don't like what you're looking at. You judge what you're looking at, so you actually end up standing here. But I promise you, no matter how ugly that looks, if you walk into it and walk through it, you come out the other side with strength and wisdom. Because emotions are like rocket fuel. And in the vegan movement and facing the truth of humanity is a very emotional experience. I feel it all the time. And those emotions used to be overwhelming, and it became very important to me to continue this journey that I had to free those emotions up, which meant when I can't add meaning or labels or judgment to what I'm feeling. Because the second I do, I get trapped in that emotional response. So the key is to allow myself to feel. The feelings are like rocket fuel. They're powerful. Like facing abuse to animals is a powerful thing. And rather than thinking that, oh shit, I can't handle this, I let that emotion drive me forward. And then you come out the other side every time stronger and wiser and clearer. And then that gives you the strength to go on and face more about life. And finally, you just face it all. And once you've faced it, to face something means you understand it. And once you understand life, it's no longer disturbing. It may not be pleasant, but you've also got to remember that we're okay in essence, right? Our lives are pretty good, and don't make it about you. This is about helping the disadvantaged, whether they be animals or people. This is about making the planet a better place. And it's us that are from an advantaged situation that we have the privilege to be able to do something. So don't just sit in your privileged seat and feel shit about life. Use it. Use it intelligently. Use it wisely. And I guarantee you will feel good. You won't feel overwhelmed. Sure, you're going to have emotions that you don't like feeling, but if you don't judge those emotions, you'll get through it and you will grow. That's, for now, I guess, the best advice I've got for you in this short period of time. Look, the thing for me is, if somebody can't feel something in life, then they can shift, they can go backwards, they can be a vegan, then suddenly not a vegan, or they can change their mind. It means they're not there. And if you're not there, then you've got to get there first. Otherwise, to me, you know, you can build small steps to getting there through processes of education, but I think humanity's been doing the small step process for too long. That's how we've been approaching life forever. And we keep planning our way through things and we sludge our way. We're just sludging our way to our demise, you know, whereas the truth is there right now. And I really think, for me personally, I just keep it simple. This is about the animals' lives. This is about the suffering of poor little innocent creatures. And all I have to do as a man is stand solidly in that truth and communicate from nothing but that. I'm not thinking about diet. I'm not thinking about what's good for them or anything like that. I'm standing in the truth of what is actually happening and why I'm even having this conversation in the first place. And I can tell you it's so powerful and so effective, and that's the only way we're going to see real change that is going to match the truth of what's needed on this planet.
David, do you mind if I just go back to you? You said standing in the truth is the only way. And can you just explain what that would look like in a situation where you'd be with your family who would be saying, I don't care?
Look, one thing you've got to realise, this is not about getting what we want, right? Yeah. So you've got to be realistic. You may have targeted this person or a family member or someone that you want to change. It might not be them that's going to listen, and you've got to accept that. Otherwise, you don't move ahead. You get stuck, and you're sludging around, recycling, and then... Look, the human mind is so tempted to analyse everything. We overanalyze this. I think we've overanalyzed the vegan movement. I think we've overanalyzed what's happening on the planet. I think if we just stop and calmly look at it, there's the truth, there's the wake-up call, and then we can move forward. I think the history of humanity is we have problem-solved our way into this insanity, and we can't problem-solve our way out of it. So I think if we keep trying to analyse this situation and breaking it down, and we should do this and do that, that may be a known strategy to how to deal with life, but I don't think it's the one that's going to create the change. I really feel real change has to be different this time. And I don't think, this is what I love about the vegan movement. The power behind the truth of what's happening to these animals speaks for itself. So what I'm saying is, when you stand strongly in that truth, then the message is not about you anymore. It's about what you're talking about. But if you're overdoing a strategy, then you're running the risk of making it about you, and you're running the risk of kind of spreading something out and letting it dribble out over a period of time when it's not necessary. So I think it's something you've got to look at yourself first. Otherwise, you're asking people to change, but can you change yourself? Are you all prepared to look at your insecurities? Are you prepared to look at your fears? Are you prepared to rise up and stand up in them? Because if you're asking someone to give up their addictions, and you used the word addiction earlier, it is an addiction, right? We are addictive creatures, and there's no question about it. And an addict is not someone that's addicted to heroin. There are addicts everywhere. We're all running around addicted to something, whether it be our behaviour. We hide in it. We disguise our lives and making out we're confident, but our confidence comes from maintaining that job or controlling my partner or something, right? That's not real. If you step out of that and really focus on you and you grow as an individual, then communicating with others and educating them and helping them see the truth is not difficult at all. But if you bypass the step of thinking that your own personal growth can be put to the side while you're telling others to change, well, then how can you do that? How can you ask someone else to change an addiction, which is asking them to stand up and face, just because you can see the animal thing is wrong, doesn't mean everyone's going to see it just because you say it. So your only chance is to look at yourself first. So you've got to do both at the same time. If you take that out, then it's not going to happen. It's just a necessary requirement. And that's what I think has been missing from the vegan movement. I think we're so overwhelmed by what's happened that we've become reactive. And I think if we stop reacting and just accept, we know what we're looking at here. It's not confusing. There's nothing confusing about this. We're making it confusing. So I think everyone just calm down, and I think we're going to be fine, and we can get on with this and make it happen quite quickly.
From a feminist perspective, what's your opinion and thoughts on the dairy industry and the egg industry regarding exploitation of reproductive systems? And the best way to talk about that, obviously, it's a very touchy subject, especially when we use the words rape and all of that. What are your thoughts?
I think sometimes you've got to be a little bit careful when you use words like rape. I know I get where it's coming from. I tend to kind of maybe use stuff like, the hijacking of the reproductive system of female non-humans, or, controlling female reproductive, because that tends to, those kind of analogies people tend to get, you know what I mean? They tend to kind of go, oh, okay. So it makes them think about it.
First of all, people will start saying things like, how can you compare it to this? How can you compare it to that? And it's not actually what we're saying. It's not like, hey, this is the same as this, but people can quickly jump onto that defensive, especially if they don't get it. And it can kind of, in a way, weaken your own message, because it can affect your credibility because they don't get it yet. So they don't really understand what you're saying. So I think you can say the same thing and still be very effective and still be strong for animals without using a word that's so triggering, that can upset people, that can make people question your credibility and like your sanity. That's how they'll actually perceive it. They think, what, you think that's that? Mate.
Look, I'll just quickly add in, I just still feel say it the way it is. Whatever. I'm not quite sure what the big deal is here. Like, it is what it is. Say it the way it is. Sure, if that word rape, for example, is associated very clearly with another act of a human being doing something to another human being, then describe it then. Don't use that word. But describe exactly what's happening. Keep it straightforward, keep it simple, and just get it out there. And how we all speak, some people have a gentle approach, some people are strong in their nature, and I don't think it matters. I think what really matters is you say it the way it is. Don't distort it, don't bend it. Otherwise, I don't know, I think we're over-considering the emotions of who may be or maybe not listening to what we have to say. I don't get that. Why are we doing that? I think we're underestimating us as a species, where we can be very cold and blasé when it suits us about, as we know, about things like animal cruelty. Oh, but we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings because they might have been through something. It's like, seriously? For me, that's like, whatever. Let's get on with it. Let's just speak the truth and get on with it and blast through their fears and insecurities, blast through their little defences and stories they're all going to come. I just ignore it. I don't debate. I just share truth. I'm not here to debate. There's no debate to me. The truth speaks for itself.
I think that's important as well for people. You have to tell the truth. Never sugar. You don't have to lie. You don't have to bend the truth. You don't even have to miss parts out or anything like that. But I guess, in my opinion, like, why do we do that? I think for me, it's about understanding how people respond. After trying different approaches, understanding what people respond to best, what people feel most encouraged or inspired to make change by, and just through my own experience. What I've learned is that the best way is to educate, encourage, and inspire. Definitely tell the truth, always tell the truth, but also to understand if this person gets defensive and feels attacked, they'll probably push me away. We might not have an effective communication here. If I know that this word's going to put someone off and distract them, I'm not going to use that word. And I just, for me, it's just about being... it's like trying to use tactics to be effective.
Yeah, doing it in a more respectful way. I don't think either James or I are saying, don't shout, don't speak the truth. There are just ways of getting that across that will be more effective, because just saying the truth and offending a whole group of people, how do you really think that's going to help the animal cause or the vegan cause? It's not. They're just going to say, oh, those vegans, all they care is about the animals. Let's just not go with them. Whereas if you're engaging with them in a much more respectful way, and telling the truth, they're much more likely to come on board, because we need to build allies, not enemies.
For maybe one more...
Can I just add in one more thing on that? Well, look, seriously, do what you got to do. Just do what you've got to do, and you do what you've got to do, and you do what you've got to do. Just do it. Let's just do it, because... Honestly, I hear all this, and it's not that I disagree with what you guys are saying. I just think there is a faster way. That's all. I think their defences are there. Of course they're there. Everyone's defensive, right? You got to walk through their defences. The truth, you got to get in, right? And if you overdo the overwork and you're not. By the time you get there, you've diluted the truth without even realising it. I just think if we all stood up, imagine it, all at once, spoke the truth. Let's get on with it. Let's just say it the way it is and stop overthinking this. And I think the change will happen very quickly, and their defences will be back there somewhere, and we won't be dealing with them anymore. I really think that's the facts. Thank you.
That's where we disagree, but that's why I'm glad there's so many people doing different approaches, because there's something for everyone. Yeah, exactly.
One final comment to that is, I completely support everyone. I've spoken with both of these guys, and I love what they do, and I think it's wonderful. And I don't debate with other vegans about their approach. I don't look at James and think, oh no, James, you should do that. I'm happy to have a chat with James. I'm happy to talk about life with James, explore with James, see what's holding him back. But I have no issues about what James. I'm not going to go tattoo myself for 25 hours. There you go. I gave you the full 25. But that's him. Good for him. I applaud that. I think it's wonderful. And then I do what I do, and you do what you do. And I think, let's just do it. Let's not talk about it so much. We got to talk, right? But then after talking, well, you got to do something. Yeah.
This question's for David. You were talking about being an effective activist requires one to look at themselves, to go on that inner journey, to understand themselves. Before they do that, how can they expect other people to understand them? How do we do that? How does an individual actually go on that inward journey to understand their fears and insecurities? Does everyone go and get a psychologist and have a session with them, or do they pick up a book and read it? In your experience, how would one start that journey?
Look, of course this is difficult if you don't have the appropriate guidance and support, but I can tell you one of the most healing things in the world is honesty. And I think we all deep down know what the truth is, and I think we all lie to ourselves. And most of our insecurities comes from lying to oneself. And there are simple ways that one can look at life, and if you are honest with yourself, then fear requires you to be trapped in a lie. Fear can only live in a lie. Fear can't live in the truth. And so if you're lying to yourself, then you're going to continue to feel fear. So if you truly want to transcend beyond fear, and you truly want to live in a powerful place of truth, so you can therefore communicate truth, you have to stop lying to yourself, right? Whatever that looks like. Of course, that's a big question, and that would require a whole 3-hour workshop on running people through the processes of the whole thing. But if you want a simple answer, honesty is a powerful thing. Honesty is a beautiful, beautiful healing thing on this planet. And there's not enough of it. There just isn't. We all lie to each other all the time. We bend the truth in subtle ways. And if we could be honest about that, well, there we go. We're now going to move one step forward. And then we get honest constantly about the growth and change of who we are as people.
Okay, we do have time for another last question, unless anybody on the panel has anything to add or want to say. No? Any questions?
Yeah, I'll say something. I'd like all of you to really look closely at yourselves and go home and actually ask yourself, what's holding me back, right? Like, seriously, if everyone here, just even this number of people, all activated all at the same time, I think you would even notice just the change from that. So I just encourage you to just do something. And I really want to put that, that this is real. This is not a bad dream, right? This is actually happening. We are a stuffed up, messed up, insane species, and we need to get our shit together fast, right? And this is real. It's not a horror movie. I wish it was. I wish I was going to wake up and go, holy shit, that was a bad dream. No, it's real, right? So I just encourage everyone, get real, right? It's a beautiful thing.
Great message, man.